Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to walk through how to install Python on a Mac machine. Whether you are new to programming or just need a quick refresher, this video will guide you step by step to get Python up and running on your Mac. So let's get started. In my third video on Python, I talked about different versions of Python. Currently the latest is Python 3.x version and that is what we'll install on our machine. Now I'll proceed with the installation. So let's install Python 3 from the official Python website. Here's how. Open your web browser and type Python download. Okay, so the first is the official Python website. I'll click on this download Python link. Okay, and I'll click on this download section and it is showing me this is the latest version of Python that is currently available, and that is Python 3.12.5. Okay, so I'll simply click on this icon. Okay, and it has started downloading and the download has completed. Here is the downloaded file as a PKG file. So PKG or package files are used to install software on macOS. They contain an installer that guides the user through the installation process. PKG files are typically used for more complex software installations that may require system changes or the installation of additional components. So let me double click on it. So just make sure that your Mac version should be 10.9 or above. Mine is the latest Sonoma version 14.5, so I'm good with the installation. Now just follow the on-screen instructions. The installer will guide you through the process, so just keep on clicking continue. I'll click on this continue button. I'll click on this continue again. Click on this continue. Okay, continue installing the software. You must agree. I click on the agree. Finally click on the install and it is asking me for my password. Okay, I'll type my password. Install software. Okay, and the installation is successfully completed. All right, so yeah, I'll click on this close button and I don't want to keep the installer. So I'll click on this move to bin option and the installer will get deleted. Okay, and I can see this particular folder where Python is installed. It's inside the applications folder and the version is Python 3.12. Okay, now I'll open the terminal. On Mac, it is so easy to open any application. So just open Spotlight by pressing Command and space and type whatever you want to open. Currently I want to open terminal, so I'll type terminal and hit enter. Okay, so this is my terminal. Let me clear it out, increase the font size. Okay, now type this particular command, which is Python 3 -- version, and hit enter. Okay, now I can see that basically I can in fact confirm that I have the latest Python version, that is 3.12.5 on my MacBook Air. In your case, it can be a different version and that's completely okay. In one of my earlier videos, I talked about using Python in an interactive mode. So if I just run the command Python 3 without this -- version, I'll simply type Python 3, I'll hit enter. Okay, so I can see this interactive version. So I've mentioned in my last video that there are two different ways of running Python locally. One in an interactive mode and secondly by storing our Python commands inside a file and then running it. We also talked about that there is a third way, and that is to run the Python code online. Okay, so this is the interactive mode which is used mostly by beginners, and that too for running Python commands one at a time. So let me type a couple of Python commands, like I can type 10 plus 10. I'll hit enter. I get this output as 20. I can hit another, let's say 100 plus 100. Okay, I get the correct output. Now to come out of this interactive mode, I have to type exit with parentheses. So I'll type exit, and since it is a function, I have to type starting and closing brackets. I'll hit enter. Okay, now I'm out of this interactive mode, or I could have also done command in D. Okay, so since I'm out of this interactive mode now, I cannot run Python commands here. So as you can see, now Python is installed on my machine and it was such a simple process. Now I'll show you a fancier version of Python which is called as IPython, which stands for Interactive Python. It is an enhanced interactive shell designed for Python. It provides an environment that is more powerful and flexible than the standard Python shell, and IPython is widely used by data scientists, developers and researchers for various tasks like interactive computing, data analysis and machine learning. So I've already opened terminal. So what I'll do is I'll simply type IPython. I'll hit enter. Okay, and it says command not found. It means that I don't have IPython installed on my machine and I need to install it separately. So to install it, I'll run this particular command Python 3 space -m pip install IPython, and then I'll hit enter. Everything is in lowercase and you can read this line, just install IPython. Okay, and I see this particular output. I'll again type IPython and I'll hit enter. Okay, so I see something like Python 3.12.5 and I see this. Okay, perfect. So it means my IPython is now installed successfully and I can see this color coding actually. So it's just an enhanced Python, but behind the scenes, it is actually running Python only. And just like normal interactive mode, I can also execute valid Python commands here as well. Again, I'll enter the same command like 10 plus 10. Okay, and I get the output as 20. And this time, let me do 10 into 10. And I get the output as 100. Perfect. So the only difference between this Python, IPython, or the interactive normal Python is like it is just having some normal, basic color codings, which looks little fancier. Okay. So in order to come out of this mode, again I'll type exit with these parentheses and I'll hit enter, and I'm out of this IPython mode. Perfect. So we just saw that the first way of running Python using either the normal interactive mode or using IPython interactive mode. I'll show you. Yes, this one. Okay, so the interactive mode allows you to execute Python commands one at a time and see the results immediately. Next is running the Python code from a file, and this is the more common way to run Python scripts, especially for larger programs. This one. So we'll type the Python code inside a file that has a .py extension, and when we are ready to execute our code, we tell Python to run our code. Now, as a professional, we'll use a commonly used IDEs like Visual Studio Code or even PyCharm. But what exactly is an IDE? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Think of it as your all-in-one workspace for coding. An IDE gives you everything you need in one place. It's like a text editor to write your code, tools to help you find and fix errors, and even a way to run your programs. It's like having a toolbox where you can write, test, and debug your code without needing to switch between different applications. So why use an IDE? Well, it makes coding faster, easier, and more organized. So instead of juggling multiple tools, an IDE keeps everything under one roof so you can focus on writing great code. So I'll show you how to download VSCode. To download VSCode, I'll again go back to Google and I'll type download VSCode. Okay, I'll click on this first icon, which is the official website, which is code.visualstudiocode.com. And since I'm on Mac, I'll click on this Mac button and it'll download VS Code for me. What I'll do is, since I'm actually using this Apple Silicon chip, I'm on the current latest MacBook M3 Air, I'll click on this Apple Silicon. You can click on either this or this, doesn't really matter. So it has started downloading my VS Code now. Okay, now VS Code is just an editor, but it is very flexible in the sense that we can even write Java, JavaScript, or even Python code inside it. And trust me, you'll also fall in love with this editor as it is so simple to use and it's one of my favorites. Okay, now I'll go to my downloads and I see this VS Code. Okay, so it is VS Code Darwin ARM64.zip. I'll double click on it. Okay, so I see this Visual Studio Code.app file. Now what I'll do is I'll double click on this app file. This will immediately launch the Visual Studio Code application. And since I'm trying to open it for the very first time, it is giving me this particular option. I'll click on this open. So this is the VS Code's first look. And note that we have not installed VS Code yet. We have just opened it from the downloads folder. So what I'll do is I'll quit this particular app. I'll again go back here. Yeah. So this is the Visual Studio Code app. In my case, what I want to do is I want to install it permanently, which is what I would recommend. So here's what to do. I'll simply drag and drop VS Code to the applications folder, and it has actually installed my VS Code app. Okay. So what I'll do now is I'll launch my VS Code. For that, what I'll do is I'll either go to my launchpad, I'll search for this VS Code, it is coming here, or what I can also do is I can open Spotlight, I can simply type Visual Studio Code and I'll hit enter. And this is the first look of the VS Code again. Perfect. Now, the next thing we'll do is to download the Python extension for VS Code, which is a very important thing. And this is actually an extension which is essential for making the IDE a powerful and efficient environment for Python development. So I'll click on this extensions icon. Now I'll search for Python. I'm looking for Python extension that is developed by Microsoft. So I'll type Python, I'll hit enter. So this is the Python extension developed by Microsoft. I have to click on this install button and it will also install Python debugger for me. So I can see this uninstall icon. So it means this extension has been installed now. Now, why did I install this extension? It's just to enhance my development experience. And the extension automatically checks your code for errors and potential issues, and it provides real-time feedback on coding errors, style violations, and type issues. Okay, so I'll close this extensions and I'll come back to Explorer here. Now I'm going to create a simple Python script to test if everything is working fine or not. Command and N keys together, not Command and space, it's Command and N. Okay, then I'll press Command and S keys together to save my file. Command and S, it is asking me to save the file. I'll give it any name, let's say first.py. I'll hit save. It is saying first.py already exists. Let me just replace it. Perfect. So this is my Python file and I can see this Python icon as well. Okay. Note that any Python file ends with a .py extension, just like any JavaScript file ends with a .js extension. Okay. So I have this particular setting as file as autosave. So I don't need to save my file as well. Okay. So now my Python script is ready and I can type as much Python code as possible. So what I'll do is I'll simply type print. Okay. And I see this particular suggestion. It's because of the Python extension that is installed. I'll now simply test basic math to see if my Python script is working or not. So what I'll do is I'll simply type print 10 plus 20 and then I'll hit enter and then I'll type print. Here I'll type inside double quotes. This is my first Python script. First Python script. Perfect. So I don't need to save again because my autosave is already working together. Notice at this bottom right, we'll see this Python version. This is the same version that I've installed some time back. In your case, you'll see the version that you have installed on your machine. Click on it and then I want you to select the recommended option, this recommended option, and hit enter. It means now we are using the latest Python installed on our machine. In my case, I also have this lower Python version 3.9.6 that came as a part of my MacBook. Okay, so I'll click this recommended option and I can see this Python. So it means this latest version of Python is now being used to execute this particular code. Okay, now I'll hit this play button. Perfect, I get this particular output. And this code was executed using the latest Python version that I told VSCode to use. So here's the basic workflow. Yeah, you create a file which has a py extension, then we'll write some valid Python code inside and we save the file and hit the play button. So there you have it, how to install Python on Mac. So thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know in the comments if you face any issues during the installation and I would love to hear your thoughts, and see you in the next video.